Okay, good afternoon everyone. So we're going to be looking at the SBA today, and this is a copy of the SBA which everybody should have either in the Google Classroom, or I actually put a copy in the grade 11 WhatsApp group. Okay, so it says islandbooking.com employed your IT agency to automate their daily business affairs, right? So it's our IT agency, and we're going to be putting in all this information into our, first of all, our spreadsheet. Sorry about that. Now it says here on the spreadsheet, when each client calls, enter their information in the following template. No more than 20 clients per data sheet. So what that means is that we're going to have to come up with 20 unique sets of data per sheet and enter it into the different templates or tables that we're going to create. So on sheet 1, we're going to start with the hotel template, and in this hotel template we're going to have in A1 the surname, then B1 first name, hotel name, star, and all of that in our hotel template. So let's do that first. Okay, so we have entered our information, and as you notice here, some of these words are cut off. So let us adjust our the width of our actual columns before we continue, so I can actually see the words inside of it. Alright. Now if you look at the example that they gave in terms of this SBA itself, you will notice that there are some options that are in 2 lines, and that's something that we can do. Let me show you how to do that. To do that, what we're going to do is we're basically going to use something called text wrap or wrap text, right? So first you have to highlight the heading. So I'm going to highlight from A1 all the way down to I1, right? And then I could simply just select wrap text here, and what wrap text does, it actually tells you, it actually is going to create two rows or 2 areas where you can actually put your information. So I'll click it here, wrap text, and what it does, it allows the second word to be in another line, right? Just like we have in our example. But also you notice in the example as well, look at the example again, they are actually centered inside of the cell, and they're at the top of the cell. So you want to mimic that, or to reproduce that. So where we have surname and last name here, sorry, surname and first name, it's at the bottom of our cell and package. We want to put it in the middle of our cell. So we're going to go to the alignment section and look for the option in terms of making it in the middle alignment, right? Sorry, top alignment, my fault, top alignment. What we want to do in terms of centering it is to put it in the center of the cell. So I'm going to select center. Okay, so we have now our headings looking exactly like they do in our template here, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some editing. I'm going to do some formatting to what I already have, right? So let's say that I want my headings to, the writing to be a certain way. I want it to be bold, or I want it to be fancy. Let's try something fancy. Just ensure that when you're doing these changes, that it's something that can be read, right? And I also want to increase the size of the information. So I'm increasing it to 14. And if you notice, I'm gonna have to widen some of these columns to make the words fit. Across and widen. So even though they're in 2 lines, I still have to widen them to make sure that everything fits. And finally, package. Alright, so we have now our titles for our different columns. So now we want to put in the actual information. This is where we have to put in the 20 unique set of data right? So I'm going to come up with a surname, a first name, a hotel name, a star, and the star is what star you think it is, if it's a 5-star hotel or a 4-star, so forth. The amount of people that are going to be staying, the day that they're going to be checking in, the number of rooms they're going to be using, the length of their stay, and then finally we have package. Now package here is going to be based off of these packages that we have listed below. So if you look at the first one we have here in the hotel template, on the package we have extras, and that is one of the packages that can be selected or used based off of this table that we have here. We're going to get to the table in a minute, but I want you to actually complete and fill out the hotel template first. Right, fill out the hotel template first, and then we can get to looking at putting in the package table. So I'm going to do one more. But remember, you have to do 50 of them, so you have to come up with 50 sets of information. Now I'm going to just come up with a new hotel name. I'm not certain if that hotel exists, but I just came up with that name a while ago. Stay 14 days, and rooms all inclusive. Alright, so I have come up with basically 2 sets of information here, just 2, but you have to come up with 20. Alright, so after you have filled in all your information in regards to the heading and the 20 sets of data, I want you now to try to figure out how you can format the information that you have. When I say format, it's not just talking about changing the font and the font size. It can be changing the color of your background, changing the color of the text, right? Adding a border. So I'm going to look at those 3 right now, and I'm going to show you an extra one as well. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make my headings a little bit more attractive. So I'm going to highlight my headings, and I'm going to change the background color. I want it to be something bright, so I'm going to select that color, right? Okay, right. So what I want to do is I want to create a border around it, but it's going to be a thick border. So what I can do is go here to where I have the borders option, and then I can select more borders. And the reason why I select more borders, because it gives me it's more flexible for me to then just add the style of border that I want, and I want the borders in terms of the different lines that surround it. So I want all borders, so I'm going to click in this box here to select all borders, right, and at the bottom as well. And then I'm going to select the thickness of the line, right? You can also change the color of it if you want to, but I'm just going to be basic and just make it a bold line, and then I click on OK. So what I did was this. All I did was click on the line itself to change the actual border to what I wanted. So I select the style of line that I want to use over here, and then I click on the specific lines around it, and then I click on OK. And if you notice, the lines are now thicker and it's more pronounced. Okay, alright, so we have now did some editing, and like I said, we can change the color, the background color, we can change the style of writing, we can change the font size, we can make things bold, we can add a border, we can actually change the color of the actual text that we're writing. So we have put in now our heading, our 20. Let me fix this. We've put in our heading, we've put in our 20 individual sets of data. We now have to put in the package section. So let's go and see what the package section is about. So basically it's a table speaking of the different packages that they have, what they offer, and the amount per night. So we just have to put that in, recreate that table inside of our sheet here. Now you can put it one of two places. You can put it below the information that you have here for this table, or you can put it to the side, to the right hand side here. I'm gonna put mine to the right hand side. Okay, so let me add that. Okay, so now I have created my packages table showing the name of the package, what it offers, and the amount per night. Let me just decrease it to show exactly where it is in relation to what I just wrote. So I have my hotel template here, and then to the right hand side I have the packages template, which I can also format like I did with my hotel template. I can change the background colors of each of the different cells, change the style of writing, increase the size, make it bold, things like that. All right, so we've done that. Now let's move on to the next part in the SBA. Now the next part in the SBA says, I'm gonna skip over save for now because we're just doing the actual steps that are required. I'm gonna save it when I'm finished. Okay, next part says add 2 columns to the right of the spreadsheet. Insert the following labels: cost per night and final price. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to where I have the very last thing in my hotel template, this package. So I'm going to click in the column J and I'm going to write cost per night. And press enter. Now if you notice the formatting that you did to the previous column is then comes over into the other one, and then finally we have final price. So if you look at it, we just entered cost per night and final price here, J and K. We added these 2 columns here. All right, and as I was saying, all I did was just type in information, and whatever we did to the other headings here, and even if you make changes here in terms of font size and all these different things, when you write it in these 2 new columns, the information, the formatting would actually change to what you already have on the page. All right, or have on the sheet, I should say. Okay, so we've done that part. The next thing says the final price is calculated by the number of persons times the number of rooms times the cost per night. Alright, so let's look at that. So final price, we're going to do a calculation, and I did say that there's no formula, there is no actual function in Excel for multiplication. So we use the multiplication sign in this instance and the cell addresses, and the multiplication sign when you're talking about information technology is the asterisk. So when we're writing a formula, we have to start first with the equal sign, and then we're going to be calculating the number of persons, shift A to get the asterisk. We're also doing the length of stay, shift 8 again to get the asterisk, and finally we're doing the cost per night. And that's our calculation. When we've done that, press enter, right, and we'll have our answer. Now the reason you're seeing 0 there is because we have not put in any information in cost per night, and when you're multiplying and you're multiplying 0, your answer is always going to be 0. But when we actually put in now the value for cost per night, our final price figure is going to be changed. So after I now put in the information for final price, I can copy down this formula because it's the same formula that we're going to be using. The only thing that's going to change is actually the column, sorry, not the column, the row number. So initially we had it in row 2, and as we go down in our data, in the 20 unique data set that you came up with, we're going to be going from one row to the other. So it's going to be from row 2 to row 3 to row 4 all the way down till you have the last one. So instead of it being E2, it's going to be E3 down here, and then E4 and so forth. So when we copy down this formula, and to do that we're going to select where we have our formula, go to the bottom right hand corner and put our mouse there. When we put our mouse there, we're going to get a black plus sign. We're going to click on that section, click and hold, and then drag and then pull the mouse down to however far until you reach the last option or the last in your set of data or data set. Right, for me, remember the reason why there's 0 there is because we have no value for cost per night yet. So anytime we multiply something by 0, our answer is 0. Okay, so that part is finished. Let's move on to the next. It then says cost per night equals a package selected by the clients. Okay, so what that means is this: when you select the different packages based on the packages option here, right, you just selected the name of the packages. Let me fix this before I continue. It's extras. You just selected the name of the packages that were listed here, but each package actually has a specific cost or price. So what we're going to have to do is, based off of the specific package that you selected, we're going to have to put in the specific price, right? Okay, so let's do this now. There are two ways we can do this. We can use what is called an if statement to do this, or we can use actual function called VLOOKUP. Now I want to use the simplest way, so I'm going to be using the if statement, right? And the if statement works like this: if a condition is true, and a condition is basically what we're trying to solve for. We're trying to figure out if this condition is true or not. So our condition here is if what is in I2 here, where we have put in different packages, where we have assigned each person a package, if what is in I2 is equal to a specific thing, then we're going to be putting in the value for that specific thing. If it's not, we move on to the next option. If it's not, move on to the next option. So we're going to be looking at this if statement, and we're going to be looking at all the different options and packages that we have. So let's write it. When writing any function or any calculation, we start with equal, the equal sign. And what we're going to write in next is we're going to write in the word if, right, because we're using an if statement, then an open bracket. Okay, so we're now going to put in our condition. So we have equal, the word if, and an open bracket. After that, we're going to put in our condition. So our condition is basically saying if what is in I2 is equal to, let's start with Alright, now pay attention to what I just wrote. I put the keywords that we're looking for, or that should be in I2, in double quotations. When we are using, let's say we're looking specifically for a set of words or a phrase, we use double quotations. If we're looking for a number or even a date, sorry, just a number. If we're looking for a number, we wouldn't use a quotation. But if we're looking for a specific phrase or a word or a date, we use open and close quotation. Right? So I'm saying here, if I2 is equal to that. So if what is in I2 is equal to all inclusive, we're going to do what comes after the comma. That's all this is saying. And after the comma, we're going to put the actual cost. And the cost for all inclusive is $30,000. Right? Okay, that's it. So if what is in I2 is equal to all inclusive, we're going to put in $30,000. But what if it's not? What do we do then? So we have to now continue writing. So I have another comma, and after this comma we're going to put what would happen if it's not equal to all inclusive. All right, so we're still going again. If open bracket I2, and we're basically going to be doing the same condition, but just changing the package that we're using. So the first one was if I2 is equal to all inclusive, we're going to put the value of that selection. But if it's not, we're going to look to see, we're going to check to see if it's another one. So if I2 is equal to, and I'm going to put extras, close bracket, close the quotation, sorry, not the bracket, then comma, and then the value for that is 55,000, comma again, right? Then another if, open bracket, I2 is equal to, let's do bed and breakfast this time, close the quotation, comma, and that is what, 20,000, comma again, and we're doing the last one now. If I2 is equal to weekends, open quotation, weekends, comma, it's gonna be 3,500. All right, so that's all four. We're putting all four. We've done all inclusive. If I2 is equal to all inclusive, do that. If I2 is equal to extras, do that. If I2 is equal to bed and breakfast, do that. If I2 is equal to weekends, do that. Now we have to put another option in case that when it looks at the package section, it doesn't see any of these options. We have to put in another option for it to select from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put comma and I'm going to put 0. Right? So if it doesn't say all inclusive, it doesn't say extra, it doesn't say bed and breakfast, it doesn't say weekends, it's just going to put 0 as the cost per night. Right? Okay. Now what we have to do next is we have to close our brackets. So you have to ensure that the same amount of open brackets you have the same amount of closing brackets. If you don't have the same amount, you can cause an error. So I'm going to hold down, I'm going to put, what is this, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we have 4 closing brackets, and then that's it. Before I press enter, I want to go through something with you. Now pay attention to how you write the words in terms of the packages. Ensure that it's spelled the same way that you would in the different columns, or the different cells I should say. All right, because if you spell it incorrectly, it's not going to show up in it's not going to give you the correct cost per night. Okay, so now I'm going to press enter. All right, so we've done it in J2, and if you notice, my J2 answer is 0. Now I have extras here, and extras should be 55,000, but for some reason it's showing me 0. Let's see why. All right, so let's look at it. It says if that's all inclusive, that's fine. This is extra. You realize what the problem is? Here I have the word extras with an S at the end, but in here I have the word extra. Now because of that, because it's not the same thing as in how I've written it, it's gonna cause an error and not give me the correct answer. So you need to pay attention to how you write it and pay attention to the value of each of the packages. All right, so let's make the change. Let's make the change. Sorry. Oops. I also want to change this where I have bed and breakfast. All right, so let's make the change and then press enter, and you notice that our value has now been entered under cost per night. So again, we're going to copy this down. All inclusive has 0. Why does all inclusive have 0? Let's check that out. Let's check out why all inclusive is 0. All. Oh, you see I don't spell inclusive correctly. Another example. Alright, so let's copy it back down. So I made the change in the very first one, and then I'm going to copy down the correction that I made. Okay, so now we see that where we have our packages in column I, right, and we have our cost per night calculation in column J, when we copy down the formula, we're going to have in the actual value of each package based on the cost per night. And also you will notice that the final price figures have changed as well. So once we add in the cost per night and we copy down that formula, the final price figure is also going to change. Alright, okay, alright, now let's continue, because we've completed that part. And remember, that's supposed to be done for all 20 things you have in 20 items or 20 names, 20 data set items that you have in the table, in the hotel table. It's supposed to be done for all of them. Okay, so we've done 2, 3, and 4 here, but then after 4 it says on sheet 2. So everything we've been doing so far has been done on sheet 1. So what we're going to be doing next is going to be done on sheet 2. So let's scroll down and see what they want us to do on sheet 2. Excuse me. Okay, so on sheet 2 they want us to create a car rental template and also a type table. So that's what we're going to be doing next. So let's go back to our Excel sheet. So this is sheet 1. See there, sheet 1. And I want to now create another sheet so that I can put the information on sheet 2. To do that, beside sheet 1 you're going to click on the plus sign, and now we have sheet 2. Sheet 2 is a blank sheet with nothing on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to enter the information from our template here and put it into the spreadsheet. Okay, so the information has now been entered. Information has now been entered into our sheet on sheet 2. Okay, so this is what I want you to do. I want you to, you're going to use over the same names in that you had in the hotel template. Use over the same names, right? But you're going to come up with the different types, makes, models, colors, pick date, and return date. Now the pick date and return date would have to coincide with the date that they arrive at the hotel and leave the hotel, right? So the date they arrive would be their pickup date, and the date they leave would be their return date, right? So you have to keep that in mind when you're putting in the names. Okay, so let's go back now and look at something. All right, so here we have the car rental template, and basically in terms of the type, it's based on the type table that we have here. You can come up with the make, and you can come up with the model and the color. Okay, so what I want you to know is actually to enter the information under the car rental template, and then also recreate this table for the type and put it either to the left or to the right, put it either to the left over to the right, over here, or below the information that you're gonna have. So either put it to the right like you did with sheet 1, or put it below here. All right, so that's what I want you to do next, and you're gonna stop there for now until I see you again next week Tuesday, and then we'll continue. The last thing I want to speak to you about is your sheets here. Now you can also format these sheets in terms of changing their names, adding background colors and things like that. So let's say I want to change sheet 1 to hotel. So change the name sheet 1 to hotel to verify that this sheet is about hotels. So I'm going to right click on sheet 1 and then click on rename, and then from there I can change it to hotel. I can also, then I press enter. I can right click again and then change the tab color to something that is appealing, right? And then I can change sheet 2, right click and then rename, and this one is about vehicles, right? Enter, and then I can also change the tab color for that. Alright, so this is just some of the options that you can do in terms of formatting your sheets. So that's all I want to do for now, and I'll see you in the next Tuesday's class when we continue looking at the SBAs. I want to finish this by either next week or the week after, because we need to move on to other aspects of the SBA. Okay?